Alright, Shalom, Akim, and Akwa. First and foremost, as always, want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the head apostles and elders at Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Much respect to the brothers out here laboring in this work, and also to the believers. To you, I say Shalom. So, I just want to go into a real quick lesson while I got time. Alright, I'm going to pull a few scriptures and a few examples dealing with sacrifice, in which the Lord requires you to make extreme sacrifices in His truth in order for Him to deal with you. Alright? And we're going to get that account right here in the book of Genesis, 12th chapter. But before we read this, let me just make a statement. And the fact that the majority of people are not willing to sacrifice everything that they have, including family, for this truth. And that's one thing the Lord requires you to do, which is to mentally separate yourself from your family. And in some cases, you had to do it physically too, for the sake of your conscience and your spirit. And if you're not willing to do that, the Lord's pretty much not going to deal with you. You got to be willing to go live on a damn island somewhere by yourself, to prove yourself to the Lord. And you have to have that kind of mindset. All right. So, like I said, the majority of people are not willing to sacrifice what they have to sacrifice in order to please the Lord, and that's what He requires. As you read right here in Genesis 12:1, it says, "Now the Lord Yahweh has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee." All right. So Abram's first test was to do what? To flee his kindred, his family. All right. To get into another land in which the Most High would show him. And that within itself took great faith. And a lot of people are not willing to, like I said, make that move like that. All right. Verse 2 says, "Now I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed." So Abram departed, as the Lord Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. So Abram was 75 years old, a man set in his age, when he departed from his family. All right. And we know that Abram was well off. His family was worshiping idols and stuff like that, and the Lord required him to remove himself from those idols so he could deal with them. You see. So that was Abram's first test, in which he passed, in which he separated himself from his idol worshiping family. When you go to the second test, which would be dealing with his son Isaac, you should know that Abraham and Sarah couldn't have a son. All right. And Abram eventually had a son later on in his life. He was like I think maybe 90-some years old, if I'm not mistaken. But I guess we'll get it later on down in this chapter. But he was up in age when he had Isaac, in which he loved dearly. And we're going to find out what the Lord told him to do. Genesis 22:1, "And it came to pass after these things that Yahweh did tempt Abraham." You see, He tempted Abraham and said unto him, "Abraham." And he said, "Behold, here I am." And He said, "Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac. Look," He said, "whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah. And offer him therefore a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of." Okay. And so what did Abraham do? And Abraham rose up early in the morning. He didn't ask no questions, because what? He had faith. All right. He asked no questions. So he rose up early in the morning and saddled his ass and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which Yahweh had told him. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, "Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you." And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. Alright, so at this point, Isaac was like, what the hell is going on? Verse 7, "And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering. And Abraham said, my son, the Most High will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. And they came, so he didn't want to tell his son Isaac that he was going to be the sacrifice right then. Verse 9, and they came to the place which Yahweh had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, and neither do anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest the Most High, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from him. And that's deep. All right. The Lord drawed his hand back once he saw that Abraham showed faith, and he was willing to sacrifice his only beloved son. Okay, in which he was Yahweh Shai in the reincarnation. All right. And Abraham passed the test. And so that story is there to show you that you had to trust in the Lord. You had to have faith, and you had to be willing to sacrifice and get away from your family, who may be holding you back and keeping you away from the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right. So, like I said, you had to separate yourself from these people in the world, man, in order for the Lord to truly deal with you. You see? And this is something that you find out for yourself once you really do that. All right. Once you mentally have the mindset of, I'll leave everything that I got right now behind for this truth, and knowing that the Lord will eventually look out for you. That's why when you read stories like the book of Job, when you see that he lost everything that he had, all his riches, you know, his wife, you know, his children, you know, he was plagued with plagues, you know, all that stuff was a test unto him, but he never forsook the Most High. And he did what? He ended up getting all that stuff back, you know, times two. So that's the faith that you had to have in this truth in order for you to be accepted of the Most High, man, you know. So from there, let's go to the New Testament. Let's go to, let's see, I think it's Second Corinthians 6 and 14. Yeah, so, yeah, when you come to this truth, this is what you're supposed to do. 2 Corinthians 6 and 14 says, Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? You see, that's why the Lord called Abraham away from his people. What fellowship is righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion have light with darkness? Yeah, what the hell you gonna talk about with a 2/3 nigga in the world that you're hanging out with every day? All right, he's talking on a low level. We've been brought up, you know, on a level that is in the heavens, all right, in which they are not able to relate. So how can you sit there and have a conversation with a 2/3 mindset person who just doesn't get it? It doesn't make sense if your thoughts are in the heaven, you see. Verse 15, and what concord have Hamashiach with Belial, or what part have he that believeth with an infidel? You see, what is an infidel, man? Infidel, which is what? Unfaithful, faithless, not to be trusted, you know? Unbelieving, you see? Without trusting Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, an unbeliever, man. So if you've been Hamashiach, then what party does he have within your congregation, pretty much, man? Verse 16, and what agreement hath the temple of Yahweh with idols? For ye are the temple of the living power, and Yahweh has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their power, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, as Father Abraham, and be ye separate, saith the Lord Yahweh Shai, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, so you are required to separate yourself. As I've been saying, man, you got to be willing to sacrifice it all. All right. So when you go to what is it, Matthew 27. Let's see, it might be Mark. No. 19 and 27. All right. Matthew 19 and 27. It says, then answered Peter, which said unto him, Yahushua, says, behold, we have forsaken all. We have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yahushua said unto him, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Everyone that have forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. Right? And that takes great faith to read that and believe it. Right? Like I said, a lot of people not willing to sacrifice everything that they have for this truth for the time being. All right? You have to be able to see beyond it now and understand that the Lord is one in control of everything, and if you do his will now, then you're going to receive all that back, man. All right? And the Lord's not unrighteous when he says stuff like this, man. If you do what he says you're going to do, if you do what he told you to do, then he's going to, look out for you, man. But you got to make that sacrifice. All right? And Apostle Paul said the same thing, Yeah, Philippians 3 and 8. Verse 7, Philippians 3 and 7. But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Hamashiach. Yet doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the ecstasy of the Lord of Hamashiach, Yahushua my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Hamashiach. You talking about everlasting glory here, man. You talking about forever. You talking about eternity, man. We fighting for eternity. So if you in the mind state of now and wanting to have your cake and eat it too, and not do the will of Yahweh Shemel Shai, then you're not going to receive none of that. You're going to perish because you didn't want to submit yourself into the will of Yahweh Shemel Shai to do his duty, to be a sacrifice. Matter of fact, that's why when you read Romans 12, it tells you, Romans 12 and 1, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh by Shemel Shai, which is the truth, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, be not joined into this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. Right? So don't be stuck in this world, man, thinking upon worldly things. You have to constantly be thinking about things that are in the heavens. That's why Yahushua said, he told those, who was he talking to, Pharisees or whatever, he told them that they were from beneath and he was from above. All right, meaning that his thoughts were way above the strength of these worldly people. All right, he was in the spirit. So you had to be the same way, man. You can't have what's the word? Pretty much communion with these everyday 2/3 Israelites, man. All right. Of course, you got to deal with them on your job, but outside of that, it don't matter if it's your family, your brothers, your cousins, anyone, man. I know for myself, I pretty much forsook my whole family, for this truth. All right. I know that was a trial of my faith. That's when the Lord started to open up things for me, when I separated myself spiritually, and I said to hell with all this stuff. And he really started to open my mind up. So it's like it for coughing stuff, and it stopped up. But yeah, that's a trial of pretty much a trial of every man's faith, So what are you willing to sacrifice for Yahweh Shemel Shai? Lord willing, us edifying. Until next time, I say shalom.